So in this video I want to talk about what seems to be the hidden theme behind this relationship between Elune and the Winter Queen, which in basically what this means is that there is a relationship between the gods and goddesses of the lore that they've always been working with, and the Shadowlands, the afterlife. There's a straight relationship between these two. These are these primordial entities and the primordial setting from where they emanate. So even though the game currently is having a lot of PR issues and it's with due cause, and a lot of negative input from a lot of streamers, YouTubers, and the community in general. If you go to any forum of World of Warcraft, or you go to social media, it's all criticism, it's all, people dissatisfied, and with due cause. And this is one of the things that I might talk about. I might talk about it in the future. I'm not really sure, because there are a lot of lores that I could be covering and that I will cover in the future. But the thing is, most current narratives are heading towards a new direction and more deeper, more existential type of lore, like it is the case for Final Fantasy, which is highly cosmic and existential. And you can see that in the Shadowlands they try to do the same thing. I might make a video regarding the cinematic with Sylvanas and the Jailer and Anduin, just going into this interdimension and breaking reality and creating a new reality. As I've been saying, this game has the word multiverse in it, this expansion, these multiverses, these quote-unquote afterlives. So we can see that the lore is pushing towards a new, more cosmic, more existential, more in-depth nature than we currently have. We had very basic lore before that, so this is a social trend that is gonna keep going. But in any case, they did manage to put bits and pieces of this newer existential lore in the Shadowlands. One of these was this case of Elune and the Winter Queen being related.
The force Tyrande wields threatens to consume her, and will leave this grove devastated. My queen, we need your help.
My sister's power in my forest. I will have answers.
The Winter Queen here speaks like if Elune had betrayed her somehow, there was some sort of misunderstanding and something had gone wrong. But one of the things that they managed to do in the expansion is to explain some sort of a mechanism of engineering of the afterlife and how the cycles of life work. One lies beyond. And for example, in Ardenworld, I really had a very good time going through the Covenant campaigns. And before the Covenant campaign, you do a little bit of a few quests here and there from every Covenant. And the part of Ardenworld, it was just amazing. Oh, this is so cool. Now all the forest is coming together to escort the Wild Seal. This is such a beautiful song. Look at this. Berries. I don't need my weapons right now. I wish I knew more about who Isera was, but anyway, it's a cool story. And you're trying to defeat her demons, her nightmares. She felt useless, weak, corrupted. Watching her death over and over again. And the way that the game just tries to speculate on this process of rebirth. It's just fantastic and so very artistic. The whole area with the whole, like, look at the color, look at the hue, look at all this face behind us, all these little beings trying to help this soul who is to be reborn into the world. Like, it's such an important job for them because it's part of who they are as well. It's like this idea of all being part of the same thing, especially if this realm is one of imagination, it's one of within the mind, within consciousness. Truly not disappointed. Truly this is tackling such huge theme. A very needed expansion. I can remember just seeing this this magical forest just coming to life, and all these little critters and creatures, which were like ghostly creatures, just trying to help this seed. So the whole thing was of reincarnation, and how you realize that this seed that you were protecting was actually Isera trying to do her sleep, and so on and so forth. It's a very interesting, very creative, and very artistic way to represent this theme of reincarnation, and I think they did a fantastic job doing that. It was pretty fun going through it and having that experience of looking at the concept of reincarnation in such a creative way, especially with the theme of nature and the forest and so on and so forth. I can believe that players who play druids, who are interested in the Cenarian circle and so on and so forth, feel very attracted to this theme, and it is indeed pretty good. But in any case, what they try to tell you here is that there's this mechanism and something is going wrong in the Shadowlands. As I said, the whole thing that the souls are not going to where they have to go, and they're actually getting trapped in the mud. That's the whole theme. It is a very good theme. They had a lot of things to work upon, but what is not fair is that you had to go through a lot of very silly quests and all these daily quests and all this grinding just in order to unlock this great cinematic. So what they were doing is trying to save all these little pieces of lore and just gatekeep them behind a lot of work. Yet the lore is right there. This is why sometimes I get a little bit worked up when I see people saying, "Oh, the Shadowlands lore is trash," and so on and so forth. It was a huge undertaking. Very few lores go straight into the afterlife. The afterlife, I want to make one thing clear. The theme about the afterlife and consciousness, these interdimensions and so on and so forth. This is what all the lores are about. All of Dungeons and Dragons and magic and the arcane and trying to explain the universe, trying to explain who we are as humans. This is what it's all about. And in the current themes of philosophy and science is the afterlife. You have this Netflix series called Life After Death, Surviving Death, something of that nature. We have a lot of these topics and themes going even in social media, going in articles from the BBC, from Forbes even, talking about quantum physics and so on and so forth. This is one of the reasons why I'm trying to focus on the lore. I do, as I've been saying, I do real life work on this. So what I can see now is that all of these lores that we have in MMOs, in RPGs, are going straight into this. What are the Elder Scrolls? As I've been saying, the Elder Scrolls are that metaphysical space of creation beyond reality, beyond the material, and they're always writing each other because they're not written. They are the Akashic records. They speak about the Akashic records in this in the Kyrian area of this expansion. Now I'm even getting into Final Fantasy and I'm going into the future. They try to explain the origins of the universe. the light and the dark and the shadow, and there's a real theory about that. And if you go into the Elder Scrolls, and in the Elder Scrolls Online, they talk about Anu and Padme. So you have to make clear, a lot of people don't understand these lores. They simply try to look for a story for what happened to Visera or the Nightborn or stuff like. Yes, that's fun and all, but if you look at the core theme that these narratives, these themes, these lores are trying to tell you, they're trying to speculate about what lies beyond our current understanding. And of course, the afterlife is the most convoluted, the most complicated one. There's a lot of real-life literature on this, and reincarnation, and Gnosticism, going into the path of ascension in real life. And I picked a few things from the game, from the Shadowlands expansion. I can tell that the people who did this, they did the research, and they had some very interesting themes in it. But the problem that I think happened is that, number one, as I said, everything is gatekept by some company, probably quotas to have people coming back to the game and having to grind stuff in order to unlock these cinematics. And another thing is, I think it was a little bit rushed. I can see the latter episodes regarding the Kyrian campaign. They're not so insightful as the core was. You can tell that it's been rushed, and that is such an insult to someone who has been putting time and effort into something. I heard a saying or something like that. It's such an insult to rush and to hurry someone's life work. And this is a huge theme, as I said. A lot of people think that lore is just nonsense and imagination. It's not. It's way deeper than most people think. So of course, if you rush these things, they're not gonna make any sense, especially such a complicated topic, such a very existential and cosmic topic of the afterlife.
This is of my sister. Why have you brought it to me?
This one is slipping away.
Our duty is grim. Many have been lost. Why would I save her pet?
Those who have dreamed by its side awaken with a joy and peace that whispers of wonder. If she dies, then all that is Emerald dies with her.
Some must be sacrificed, but some must be saved. If we forget that, all that will remain will be empty shells and sorrow.
I think I'm talking about some sort of again. So in the whole plot of the Shadowlands, turns out that due to the lack of anima, some of these mechanics, some of this engineering that is working in the afterlife is not working correctly. So they cannot bring back to life all of these quote unquote wild seeds, which are these sort of pods where they are these beings are dreaming and dreaming to coming back into the world. So there she asks, this is my sister's pet, why should I bring her back to life, why is it so important to her? Then it goes into the whole cinematic about how that is important, and some people have to be saved and some people don't, etc, etc. It's quite an interesting narrative, but the relationship is what's interesting. It's that little fairy lady, Lady Moonberry, she says, all that is emerald will die if you do not revive Ysera. So now we have to remember, what does this entail? For the Winter Queen, this Ysera is simply a pet of her sister, is simply a creation of this goddess. But when we think about the Shadowlands, they speak about multiple afterlives, endless worlds, multiverses. When you are in the presence of this arbiter, there's all these little things all over the place, all these floating sort of like chambers. So this is just one world, Azeroth, and the Emerald Dream is just one creation. Now, as a parenthesis, I want to say the whole concept of the Emerald Dream is quite fantastic. The Titans and creating the Emerald Dream and having Ysera guarded, and this Emerald Dream, what is it? It is a non-physical instance, a non-physical dimension where everything was, where the basis of the actual world was created, untouched by the corruption of the physical world. Now, this concept is a real-life concept. If you go to Plato's theory of forms, it's very related, but more than theories, Plato's theory of forms, you can find some real literature on how they speak about reality having been dreamt before it was physical. There are real theories about this now, especially when we're going into quantum physics and so on. If if people start studying quantum physics, they'll realize that nothing is really physical. Everything is made of energy. When you go into the core of things, any object that you can think, at its core, it's simply particles together. Nobody knows how they come together, but I don't want to go into quantum physics. What I'm trying to say is that this concept of having a non-physical world that precedes the physical world is a real theme. So now this is part of the creation of the current world that we're living in real life and in Azeroth. So everything came from this Emerald Dream, the world of nature. It's very connected to the whole theme of Gaia and the creation of Earth itself. So this is quite an interesting theme. So this Lady Moonberry and that other guy, they tell the Winter Queen if some souls have to be saved. Her dream brings joy to others. If she dies, everything that is emerald dies. This part of creation will cease to exist. And then goes the Winter Queen and she revives her with her power. So this is an interesting dynamic that lets us know a little bit more of this interaction between the rulers of the afterlife, the gods and goddesses, and the demigods, which in this case Ysera would be one. She was in charge of something, of one of these multiple layers of creation. They call the heavens, there are real philosophies about this, talking about the third, the fourth, the fifth heaven, which are simply layers of the physical and the non-physical. Now, one of the things that I hate, that when I see it in the community, in Reddit and so on and so forth, they say, oh, the lore is very open-ended and they don't explain anything and so on and so forth. We don't even know the reality of these theories. We don't even know exactly where do we come from. How are we supposed to expect a video game lore narrative to give us clear answers about how things work? If you take the speculation out of it, it's no longer lore.
How dare you come here, sister? After our cries for aid went unheard, unanswered.
I heard your cries, felt your pain, and in the wake of tragedy, sent forth a cascade of souls to sustain you. Oh, the great tree.
Oh, this is where she chose
All
to
who perished there
kill
were
them.
claimed by the Maw. Then I have condemned my favored children by our hand, we may yet guide their souls unto their spring. Starting with this one.
Tyrande invoked me. She must choose. Vengeance or renewal.
Well, it's feeling for Blizzard right now. Vengeance or renewal. So it is with the Tear of Tyrande or Elune. I'm not quite sure. This is also an interesting thing in how gods and goddesses have the ability to simply possess mortals by will when they are invoked. So there are a lot of little things here. But in any case, with her Tear, they choose renewal and they create this new sigil that is needed for everything to keep going. And now this was a big lore trope when they tell us that Elune sent the souls from the great tree. Now we have the Winter Queen helping Elune first by bringing Ysera back to life. One of her creations is sort of her domain, which for the Winter Queen is preoccupied for other things. She wants to bring everybody to life, but she does not have enough anima. And now she is struggling, and there might have been, we don't, you know, this is the thing I seen in the lore videos and so on. Oh, how didn't know and so on. We don't know what is the communication between the afterlife and gods and goddesses. We simply don't know. But in any case, they give us a lot of lore here. Elune was behind the events that led to the tragedy of the Great Tree. It tells us and how they have the power to create things in the mortal world using whatever scheme, using the drama between the factions in the worlds at hand, and using the wars, what we would think as tragedy, what we would think as something horrible, which is the burning of the Great Tree. It has a bigger purpose. And in the final scheme of things, we don't know what the gods' wills are. We don't know why they do things. And for us, what might seem as a tragedy for Elune was simply bringing these souls into Ardenweald, into the dream, and helping the whole engineering, the whole mechanism of the Shadowlands, which keeps this cycle of creation, this cycle of dreaming, this cycle of anima recycling going on and on. So they give us, what they are trying to tell us here is that everything happens for a reason. These tragedies, we see them as tragedies, but death is not real as we understand in the Shadowlands. Death is not the final place. You go somewhere else. You go to your respectful eternities, as they call it. Now, Elune didn't know that the whole system was broken. Perhaps there's no communication. Perhaps there's different realms of these layers of reality. You know, we think about other lores. All lores talk about these different layers of realities and pocket realms. We think about the realms of oblivion. If we think about these layers and heavens, we don't know what the communication is. And a lot of people were, as I've been saying, just criticizing and complaining about the lore and how they couldn't know and so on and so forth. It's part of it. And now the Elune goes into the realm of the Winter Queen. How? Through Tyrande. It was only through the actions of a mortal who invoked Elune that the Winter Queen was able to understand why things happen. Why this great tree, why the sister wasn't helping, what was the agenda of the sister. And this is the only way that Elune could know that all of the souls, all of the mechanisms that she put in motion for the burning of the great tree, as a master of the world, as a goddess of the world, actually were to condemn these souls. And now there's this new choice that the game puts forward to you. What are you gonna choose? Revenge or renewal? Trying to save the Shadowlands, trying to save this complex myth of creation, myth of the afterlife, myth of reality forward.
I am Is it you, myself again? What I have seen this day, I can scarcely believe. I was present for every moment, and yet outside myself. As much a witness as you were. So much beauty in her voice, and sorrow as well. The tear was mine as much as hers. The Winter Queen spoke of a purpose for the souls of our people. What did she mean? That Elune did not tell me, daughter. Not yet.
There is a huge theme here indeed, and how the gods and goddesses can meddle in the affairs of mortals, and how they can use mortals even as avatars, as they live through them, and they are part of them. Here Elune tells how she was existing and looking at everything, even as a witness herself, but her body was being used by the goddess, was being possessed. It tells us about consciousness. It's the theme of consciousness. I recently made a video about Final Fantasy, how they play this concept of the echo and going past beyond the soul's boundaries. We can see the lore going in this direction, and I'm very, very excited about it. And as this is a 30-minute video, 25-minute video that I just did, and I can tell you, I've done this research in real life, and it's an amazing theme, and they managed to put the theme together. I think there's a lot of negativity towards Blizzard, a lot of negativity about World of Warcraft as general, part of the toxic community that has been created, that has been kept going forward and forward. It's part of the issue as well. I agree with many saying that, but the lore is another thing. People shouldn't be mad about the lore. People shouldn't be so critical about something so amazing. In any case, these are just some thoughts that I had about the whole game, about the whole lore. It's very interesting. I so wish that they retake all of this project of the Shadowlands. They keep going with a passionate team. It is very sad to see how businesses take over, and the greed and the corporate culture, the corporate, ego-driven, profit-driven. When you go into Google and you look for World of Warcraft videos, all you see is Bellular talking about, quarters and financial statements and whatnot. This is just utterly disgusting, especially when there are such amazing themes being explored, themes of the psyche, themes of all of us. In any case, that's all I wanted to do today. I might be making some analysis of the Kyrian theme, especially with the live review of Uther, which was an interesting theme. But in any case, as I'm moving forward as well towards exploring different narratives, Final Fantasy has an amazing narrative, and of course we have a New World coming. Which is a lore that is very basic, but at the same time it gives us a lot of space for speculation. So whatever happens, I will try to keep covering the largest lores, the interesting lores in this channel. So yeah, that's it for today. If you would like to know more about the lore surrounding these fantasy narratives and how they perhaps connect to real-life theories and philosophies, please like this video, subscribe to this channel, as I will try to find these connections and explore the possibilities that these lores can provide. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.